In this video, we are going to discuss about most important feature called REST API. So, in previous videos, we have been discussed about more specific Spring Boot related topics, which are basically based on how to design microservices using a Spring Boot. So we have been discussed in previous videos. We have been discussed about application.properties, application.yaml file. We have discussed how we can create profiles using application.properties. We have been discussed about interceptors, filters. We have been discussed about internationalization. We have been discussed about other features which are basically belongs to the Spring Boot space. Now this is very important because in this video we are going to discuss about exactly how we can build REST APIs using Spring Boot. So if you talk about microservices, so what is microservice exactly? So the microservice is basically designing a separate application which provides REST endpoints, and those REST endpoints belongs to a domain driven architecture. So basically a separate for a particular entity, we are separating the operations by using REST API, and that particular API bunch of API for doing operations for a particular domain object into a single project. That is basically called a microservice architectures. So it's a basically domain driven thing. So now suppose that I am going to design one application that is basically for doing operations, or we are going to design one microservice which is basically doing the operations on employee entity. So we have a application where we are we need to design some APIs which is basically work on employee entity. So whenever the employee will be created in database, we will do create operation. Whenever the employee properties will be get some changes, like their salary get changes, their year of experience get changes, any other features get changes, then we need to update that employee detail. And apart from that, suppose we want to delete any employee detail, so that operation is there. So basically CRUD operation we need to be performed, the create, read, update and delete. So how we can perform those operations using Spring Boot, we will see in this particular video. So let's just start. So for that, exactly, I am going to first create one entity class, or I would say the model class, basically who's named as, actually I'm just segregating some into some packages. So I'm going to create one package as model. I'm going to create one more package that is called controller, and I'm going to create one more package that is called service. Okay, so firstly I'm just removing this part into this, because I have taken the previous project where I have defined everything in single package. So I'm using that project itself. So let's just make some changes over here. Okay, now so in model class I need to define some model. So I have taken an example of employee class. So I'm just doing taking as employee class name, and here basically I'm going to say we have some properties for integer employee ID. Then we can say we have string employee name, and we can say we have double having a salary. That's it. I'm taking only 3 pointers. Now I'm going to create a getter setter for this. Fine. And one more thing I'm going to do is basically trying to create a constructor. Okay, so I have created constructor for it, and one more constructor I'm going to create basically, which is default constructor doing nothing. Okay, so my model class is ready now. Now what I have to do, I have to create one controller class. So I am going to create one controller class named as employee controller, and okay, now I am going to annotate this class as rest controller. Okay, we will define the operations later. Firstly, I'll just go and create one more class, which is basically employee service, and this class I'm going to annotate with @service. Okay, now as I already said, we need to perform 4 operations basically. One is for create employee data, other is update employee data, third one is read employee data, and fourth one is delete employee data. Okay, now to perform these 4 operations we need to expose 4 REST APIs. So for that I'm going to design like, okay, so public, it will give response entity, and here I'm simply giving object, or I would simply give a string, and here I'm saying create employee. Okay, and now this operation is basically mapping value as create and method b method dot post. Yeah. Okay. Now here I have given the values, I have given the method. Here I need to pass request body and say employee okay. Okay. Now what I have to do, I am now creating one method in service there, which is basically doing nothing but taking employee public string create employee and just doing nothing, taking employee and here it is returning a success message. Employee created, and here I'm going to define one static block. As I'm not using any database, so I'm just trying to create one static block, and with reference of that static block I am going to define one map called private static map, which will take integer teacher comma employee emp map new. That's it. I need to import this. Fine. Now I need to initialize this. So what exactly it will do? I'm just trying to add few employees. Put, and here I'm passing one, here I'm passing new employee 1 comma employee name I'm taking randomly as ABC, and its salary would be 15,000. Okay, I'm just copy pasting this one more time, saying the employee ID is 2, employee ID is 2 and employee name is suppose PQR and his salary is 20,000. Fine. Now here what I have to do, I have to say simply employee map, access it, dot put, and whatever the employee is going to create, I need to call the employee ID here and pass that employee. That's it. So this one is for create, and now suppose I want to create one method for update also. So this is for create operation. I'm going to for update operation. So for update operation, that is basically providing one more field called ID, and what I have to do, I have to simply update. So what I am doing, I am doing this way. Actually map will if the ID will be existing, then map will normally do what, normally updating the value part of this. Okay, and saying the message as value updated. Now for get, what I have to do, this is basically returning an employee data, and here I'm saying get employee, and here suppose that I'm trying to get the employee using the ID. So what I have to return, I have to return over here employee map dot get, and I'll pass the ID. That's it. And one more operation is for delete, so I am going to use this delete employee, and here also passing the ID. So I'm simply using employee map dot remove and passing the ID, and then return success message employee deleted. Oh, so these are the 4 methods I have been created in service class. Now I am going to create corresponding APIs in controller and call those. So before doing that, I need to auto wire this service class over here. So I am doing that. My wait employees service, Fine. Now here what I have to do, I have to return new response entity. Okay, this, and I need to call this like dot create. I'm passing the employee, and here I'm passing http status dot okay. Fine. So this is my create service. What it will do, it will basically calling this method, and whatever the employee object we are passing here, that employee object will be adding into this list, this map, and then return the success message. Okay, now I'm going to create another service that is basically slash employee slash id slash id, and here passing the method is okay. Let me just copy this here, taking as get now the public, and here response entity, and I will pass here the employee, name that gets employee by id, and here need to pass the path param id string id, and what I have to do, I have to simply, I'm just copy pasting it, and here I need to make the change as get employee and passing the id, this one could be employee, and this id I am passing as integer. That's okay. Now this is the get service. Similarly, I have to create update service and delete service. So I'm simply creating a delete service first. Delete employee. It is similar to get, so I am just copy pasting it, doing the changes in the name and method. This is basically a delete, and here delete employee by ID, and I'm just calling a delete employee call here, and it is basically returning again string, and here also string. So this is now delete API. Similarly, I have to call the put API for updation. So I'm just copy pasting this part. I have created create. Now I am going to create update. This will be using as put. In place of create, I am using that update. Request body would be same, and here I am basically either two ways. Either I can use the path param also or request param. So I am using here the path param as well. So I am taking as id slash id, and here I'm going to take as this, copy pasting, and this. Okay, now here I am going to call update with id and employee. Remove this. It is also returning a string. That's it. So these are the 4 REST APIs endpoints I have been created. One is for creating an employee detail, one is for getting an employee detail by ID, one is for deleting an employee by ID, one is for update an employee. For a particular employee, need to be update the details. And apart from that, if you want to create one API which is basically returning a list of employee details, with that also we can create it. How we can do it? So I'm just copying it, pasting here. I'm just removing this. This is get service and get employee. Here I'm passing as list of employee. Or simply I can also pass the map of employee, but I'm passing a list of employee. That's okay. Fine. So okay, let me create one more method over here to provide all the employee data. So I'm going to create one method that's called public list of employee get employee. Okay, now what it will return basically fine. So I have to say employee map dot key I'm just checking that if I will get directly any method with this to get all these values. Yes, this is the method. Okay. Stop. So what it is returning a collection. So I can use collection as well. So I'm changing it. It's nothing about, yep. So this I need to make it here also. Place of list, I can use a collection. It doesn't make any such differences. The only thing is that I need to remove this. Okay. Fine. Now my API endpoints are ready, my service are ready, and here everything is set. What else is required now? I don't think so. Let's just test it. So for doing testing, I need a postman. So first, what happened? Okay, now it's started. That started. Oh no, now I think it gets started. Okay, so fine, try to build it. So firstly I'm going to add one get service, which is basically localhost 9091, and here I am simply saying employee. Okay, that is employee. It's 9091 and service is running at HTTP demo REST API. Okay, okay, now here we can see it is saved as post, but this is get, so I am using this one, trying to get the service. Okay, it is 91 taking 90. Okay, employee, and this one is this. Okay, let's see what error comes. Okay, the optional parameter ID is present in but cannot be translated to null. Okay, now here which optional parameter? Okay, so I think path param is not working. So I'm going to change and take it a variable as path variable. So let me try to do this. fine. Okay, let me run this again. Okay, so server is started. Yeah, now we can see the getting result. Now suppose that if I want to get the result by 1, yeah, we are getting result for 1 also. Okay, now configure one more request, and that request will be post one. And here with the URL, so URL is something like this. Create, is it create employee or only create? Yeah, that's a create, and this is a post. So this is basically post, so we have to provide the body also. Okay, so I'm taking raw data, text forming, and here I am going to JSON, and I am going to here make the changes as trying to add employee 3, and here writing as test Java, and salary would be 25,000. Employee is created. Now if I will come here and at this service, how many employee I am getting? I am now getting 3 employees, so that means the third one is gets added. Now let me try one more time. I'm adding 4th employee. I am saying demo REST API, giving just as. Okay, now employee created. If I will hit this service again, now I am getting 4 employee details. So now employees are getting created and added to that list. Okay, now what else is required to be tested? One is update and one is delete. Okay, so for update I am doing making a changes over here itself. I am saying this. Okay, not here, here. In create I am going to make a change for with update. This is the update. So update URL is something like this. So I am going to update the URL like this. ID I am updating as 2, and here basically second employee detail, right? I am as employee body need to be passed in JSON format. So here pasting this. In place of this I am saying now its salary become 50,000. That is the update for employee 2. So this is something like this to work. Okay. Okay, fine. The method is also a put not post. Okay, employee detail updated. Now if I will try to get this employee detail, employee 2, right? This should not give 20, this should give 50. So let's see. Okay, now as we can see that now it gets updated. so update is also working. Okay, let me just try to quickly demonstrate the delete API also. I'm just okay, adding one more request, and this request is having a delete. I am taking this example for delete. Okay, now here let me see URL first, employee ID. Okay, so here we can see that we have 4 employee list. Okay, now I'm going to delete the first employee, so let me just hit this service. Okay, so method not found. Okay, what is the URL? Okay, URL is something like this, but I'm passing something different, so let me just copy that, and here I need to pass the ID as 1. Okay, employee deleted. Now if I will try to get that employee, okay, as we can see that now list is starting from 2, 3, 4. There is only 3 employees. First one is gone, so first one is gets deleted from the list. So that's it for this way we can create a REST endpoints, and if we say that this particular project is become a now like a microservice, we can deploy to the server, and because it's working this API is basically a domain driven architecture. For employee details we have been created all the possible operations. So that's it for this video. In next video we will see that how we can do the exception handling for this. We didn't did any exception handling over here, because suppose that let me just try to show here. We know that the employee one is not now existing in this list of employee. So if I will try to hit this, it will give subappropriate error, but not giving me a data. Why not giving me a data? Because the employee is not here, employee not existing. But if I will pass the 2, we will get the employee detail. So this should give some proper message that either that particular employee is not exist or something like that, or any error will come, so that will be handled. So how we can handle the exception handlings in Springboot microservices, we will see in the upcoming video. So please don't miss that video, and if you like this video, please subscribe my channel, comment out, and press the bell icon so that you will get the notification. Thank you for watching.